Basically, if I were to lose all of my products, these would be the first 15 things that I would run and repurchase. Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Sonia and this is episode 12 of Hot Girl Hygiene. Today's video is actually one of my favorite forms of videos to post in regards to body care and hygiene. We're going to be going through my summer body care staples and favorites, whether these are products that I've been using for some time and just have performed really well in the summer, or I just started using them this summer and they have been treating me really well, or products that I would say are staples and complete non-negotiables during the summer season. We practically are almost in fall already. Last week did mark the middle of summer, so while this may not be a great guide of what to use for the summer since we are halfway through, I would say these recommendations are made with very good judgment since I have been using them throughout the hottest months of the year. During the summer season, body care can become a bit more intensive, especially in the sense of regulating your hygiene. So again, while I've seen products come and go, these are the ones that are solidified and what I would claim to be staples, products you can't be without. Basically, if I were to lose all of my products, these would be the first 15 things that I would run and repurchase. Now, as you've all heard me say time and time again, I'm not one for long intros, so let's get right into this video. Now, while I would usually break down the videos in this series through sections that are based on smaller topics, within the main basis of the video, I'm actually going to still have this video broken in sections, but each section will really just be focusing on one product in specific. I did decide to do 15 products for this video, and I'm just going to list them out now in order. I do always break my videos down in chapters, so if you do want to skip to a specific product or you don't really care to hear about one, or maybe want to hear about the product in section 7 before the product in section 2, definitely utilize the chapters that I've built down below. For section 1, we have glycolic acid. For section 2, we have Dr. Bronner's baby soap. For section 3, we have witch hazel. Section 4 is salicylic acid body products. Section 5 will be exfoliating gloves and shower sponges. Section 6 will be the prequel gleanser. Section 7 will be vacations SPF products. Section 8 will be the frenshe body serum stick. Section 9 will be body butter. Section 10 is hypochlorous acid sprays. Section 11 will be facial sprays and mists. Section 12 will be body toners, serums, and essences. Section 13 will be aquaphor. Section 14 will be urea-based body moisturizers. And section 15 will be spray moisturizers. Now, of course, all the products in this video I've talked about many times before. So you've definitely seen them. You've heard me talk about them. You've heard me show them, how to use them. Pretty much the ins and outs of everything here. And although it may seem repetitive, I feel like it's linear because how could I claim a product to be a staple or a favorite if I'm not using it and sharing it all the time? With that being said, every product that I will mention, it does have a number of short form videos based around it. So when speaking about them, if I do have a short form video that I can reference, I will play it on screen. For all of my other short form content, I am Sonia on every single platform. And not only that, but these products have also been referenced in previous episodes of this series. So if this is your first time tuning into the series, I would definitely recommend watching the previous episodes because there is so much value to be gained from every part of the series, and I do like to work them together to where they all kind of work hand in hand, supporting one another in little factors and details. This series also will be coming to an end soon. This is set out to be a 16-part series, so with us being on episode 12, there are only 4 episodes left, and I do post a new episode every week on Thursdays. But enough of the overview, let's get right into this video. One of my absolute staple products that I hold very near and dear to my heart, which is glycolic acid. For a brief description, glycolic acid is an AHA. It's a chemical exfoliant that's going to work to refine, clarify, and really do a lot of repair work on the surface of your skin. And when I say refinement, I mean that glycolic acid will do really well at the appearance and the surface of your skin. So if you're dealing with any dark marks, dark spot, uneven tone, or even bumps in texture, glycolic acid will be an aid in treating any of those. Personally, I like to use it just to keep my skin very uniform and even, and to keep it smooth to the touch. You can find the ingredient itself in various products, but I like to use it specifically in a toner. For that, I always recommend the Ordinary's glycolic acid toner. If you've been watching me on here or on TikTok, Instagram, anywhere, you have seen me with this bottle so many times. I feel like I've shared this product the most out of everything that I've ever mentioned. I like to use this 2 to 3 times a week on my skin after showering. I always mention this is best to be used on a clean, dry skin. And there are a few methods of use that I'll get into in a second. Another thing that I love to remind you all with this is that once you do have it on, it's best to give it time to really sit and settle into the skin before you apply anything else, because moisturizing after using this is also very important, as well as using an SPF the following day or the same day. Personally, I use these in the evening in my nighttime shower routine, so I don't need to put on SPF then, but the next day it will be pretty important to do so, only because in the way that this functions, it does kind of make your skin a bit more vulnerable, since it does strip a pretty good layer of a number of things: dead skin, debris, oil buildup, just anything on your skin will be stripped. And while that is great for the health and the betterment of your skin, it does make it a little bit more vulnerable to where it's not built up to really stand up against any environmental damage or sun. So using SPF is pretty important if you want to get the best results using this and you want to avoid any further damage that will come from the exposure this brings to your skin. When I first started using this, I would pour the toner itself directly onto a cotton pad and then onto areas. Again, I use this in a concentrated treatment, so I'm not pouring this everywhere on my skin. I've definitely seen that. Like, I will see videos of people like pouring this like directly over their chest and getting it everywhere. Personally, I don't think there's really a need for that, nor will it be beneficial to me personally. When I am using this is always in my underarms to keep the area bright, even, and smooth. I use this on my elbows and my knees to also keep those clear, bright, and uniform in color with the rest of my skin. I will use this in the heels and the sides of my feet to keep them soft, and sometimes I will use it on the bottom half of my legs and my chest. Again, in earlier times, I would pour this onto a little cotton pad and then kind of just cleanse the area, and that would pretty much be how I would use it. In recent times, I did experiment a little bit and pour this into like a little tub and made like these lazy at home glycolic acid pads, which did work very well. Neither of those are my favorite form of use. My favorite way to use this is by pouring it into a small misting bottle. These are just the travel size spray bottles you can get from Walmart, Target, really anywhere, even online. And I will use this instead of the larger bottle, and instead of pouring the toner onto a pad, I will just spray it onto my skin and let it settle for a few seconds, and then with the cotton pad I'll wipe off any excess. I feel like it's better for one, covering more area at once, as well as dispersing the product a little bit more concentrated to where it's not going from the bottle onto the pad. That kind of soaks up a bit and then bringing it onto my skin. Instead, I'm just spraying it directly onto the skin. This also helps with reaching more area if you do need to use this for like your back, or if you're not like wanting to really bend down to your leg. It just is a little bit easier to use this, and it's my preferred method. Again, I use this 2 to 3 times a week, so always on Mondays and Wednesdays. The next day would be Friday technically, but I do shave on Fridays, and it's also important to know that glycolic acid or any chemical exfoliant or active should not be used before or after shaving. So instead of Fridays, I will move that 3rd day to Saturdays, but in all honesty, some Saturdays are a little bit more active and overwhelming for me to where I don't really remember to do so. But that maybe really only happens like 2 times out of the month. So there will be 2 Saturdays out of the month that I will just kind of not use this, and it'll leave me with only 2 days of treatment within that week. But even that is still well enough for me to see good results and keep my skin refined. With the little bottle, I will mist my chest a little bit just to keep it smooth. I do have a really sensitive chest, so I've been working a lot on rebuilding the skin there and fixing the barrier, and I feel like doing that has helped a little bit over time. But of course, products like this need time to really change your skin and show any results. So I'm gonna be consistent in doing that, patient, and see how much better I'm able to build up the skin. You can also find glycolic acid in body washes, moisturizers, and other products. I personally don't do so because I don't have such an extreme need for that ingredient itself. But I would recommend using like a body wash if you were to need a bit more intensive treatment, or even moisturizers. There's body masks as well. But if you are new to the use of chemical exfoliants, I feel like that's the simplest way to start and the easiest to manage and really understand without making too many mistakes or leaving too much room for error. Now let's move on to section 2 and talk about the soap that I actually think has been mentioned in every single favorites video of mine, which is my Dr. Bronner's Baby Unscented. Now this also goes hand in hand with the same statement about the glycolic acid. If you've seen me on any form of media, you've seen this soap as well. Actually, earlier in the summer, I tried a little experiment where I stopped using this and tried to see if I can replace it with something else, and just came to the ultimate conclusion that that would never happen. There is nothing as well balanced as this soap, and I say that because there are so many things that people will bring up about this soap that are its downfalls, or that I'm just favoring something specific about it over anything else. The real reason why I'm so attached to this soap is because it's so balanced in so many ways. As I mentioned many times before, I'm not fond of fragrance at all. Almost everything that I use out of the shower is unfragranced. Everything that I use in the shower is unfragranced. The only time that fragrance meets my skin is maybe 2 or 3 times a week if I use like a body butter or lotion that's fragrance, and then any body mist or perfumes. But in the shower, there's not an ounce of fragrance out of the shower. If it's not one of those 2 days, there is nothing fragrance at all. So that's already the first pro of this soap. Its consistency breaks down really well with water, and it suds up really well to where my skin is able to absorb it, get its benefits, but not be clogged or feel waxy afterwards. This is also a great soap for really cleansing my skin. I feel like there is not a single other product or wash or anything outside of this that really gets everything off of my skin in such a gentle manner. Like, I don't feel super stripped when I'm using this. There is definitely soaps that I've tried before in hopes to gain the same results, and I either feel really stripped and like tight, like uncomfortably tight in my skin, or I'll feel oily or waxy. I only feel clean with this. And of course, with it being such a strong soap, it's a Castile soap, you won't feel stripped, but you will feel bare in a sense, or like your skin is a little bit more dry. But the thing about this soap is that while it gives you that dry feeling, it also cleanses your skin really well to where it's more receptive to other products. So when you follow it with the hydrating soap, it almost instantly revitalizes your skin. That's another bonus of the soap that no one really mentions. In it cleansing the skin so well and getting everything out of the way, whatever you use after will almost instantly work and be brought into the skin because your pores are so much more receptive. So of course I'm following this with a hydrating soap. I'm not just washing with this and getting out of the shower. That would ultimately dry out your skin. This soap is also very good for my feminine area. I am also really picky about what I use down there, and while I do have a feminine wash, I only use that certain times of the month. I'm not using that every single day, or just because it is a very concentrated soap. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm gonna need a soap that works well at cleansing the area, keeping it balanced, and not bringing about any discomfort or any irritation or any damage to the area. And this does just that. I never have to worry about any smell or anything weird going on, just that the area is cleansed as well as the rest of my skin. Now, while talking about maintenance, let's go on to section 3 and talk about another product that I've also been loving for day-to-day maintenance in the skin, which is witch hazel. For this, I use TN Dickinson's. I think that's how you pronounce it, Dickinson's. There's other options. There's alcohol-free options. There's other variants of this. I just grabbed this one because today I had to go shopping. This was the only option they have. I've never really experienced anything bad with this one. But something that I don't think I've shared with you all is that in the past, I use witch hazel more so for my skin. If you do struggle with pimples like randomly and you want to avoid having to pick at them or any acne scars or just really quick recovery, using witch hazel on an active or new like pimple will help dry it out to where you won't have to worry about picking at it or it growing and sustaining itself. That was my preferred use for it before, but in the summertime I've been using this more so as like the maintenance version of glycolic acid. My preferred time to use this is after the gym, whether it's being used in between me working out and showering. If I have to do something directly after working out to where I won't be able to shower right after, or even if I do go to the gym and come home and shower, I will use it afterwards just to do like a really thorough cleanse in the skin, since I did just sweat and there's a number of things that can build up from exercising, especially within the gym. This, like the glycolic acid, I started using first onto a cotton pad or cotton round and just using it on the skin in that area. I kind of focus in the same areas as well, except instead of doing like my elbows, I'll do my inner elbow. Instead of doing my knees, I'll do behind the knees. I like to focus this more on the crevices of the skin where oil and bacteria can build up. And while that method works perfectly fine, I really do like making everything into a spray. It's so much easier. So instead of using these small travel spray bottles, I pour this into a misting bottle and I'll mist it over the skin. Also helps me cover so much more area. Of course, if I'm doing like my arm, I'll concentrate it mostly in that area, but anywhere else that it kind of disperses onto will also be treated as well. Same for the back of my leg. I like using this for my feet as well. This is gonna do a bit more of deodorizing rather than refining and polishing the skin like that glycolic acid. Not that they have to be compared to each other, but I do think that they work kind of hand in hand with each other. Now, while I personally only care to use this after a workout or when I feel like I need to remove some buildup, you can definitely use this every single day if you're wanting to after the shower. If you do have body acne, oily skin, or you deal with odor, this would be a really good product to use on all of your crevices, your underarms, again, your inner elbows, behind your knees, your stomach, your back, any area that you feel needs refreshing or just to be maintained with a little bit more attention. Now let's move on to another product that has made the biggest difference for me, and one product I really think I will never ever be able to let go of regardless of the season or what I have going on, and that is salicylic acid. Now, glycolic acid, salicylic acid can be found in various products. It is also a chemical exfoliant, but unlike glycolic acid, this is a BHA, so it's gonna work beneath the surface of your skin within your pores. If you're dealing with body acne, oily skin, odor, strawberry skin, rough skin, any buildup in the skin, this is gonna be your best friend. When comparing glycolic and salicylic acid, I am more in need of salicylic acid versus glycolic acid, only because I have struggled with body acne and there are times where strawberry legs will come and pick on me. So just like glycolic acid, I use this in the toner form. I do the same thing with this. I will either use it onto a cotton pad on the skin, or I do also prefer to use this in a spray bottle form with a blue lid so I can remember that this one is salicylic acid. But with this, I'm using the same way, spraying it onto areas, except that I'm using this for different areas. So again, my main concern with this is body acne and strawberry skin. So when I am spraying this, I'm using it on my legs, I'm using it on my back. And I would say that outside of the shower, I'm not as super consistent with the use of this, and that's because I prefer using my salicylic acid in the shower in a body wash. The body wash that I am currently using is made from a brand that I'm not gonna share as I no longer support them. But of course, I do have a bit left of all those products and I want to avoid wasting anything. And they are fairly effective on my skin, so I will continue using them until I am out of the product and then move on to another one. I would say that using a salicylic acid wash 2 to 3 times a week has drastically changed my skin. Again, my main focus for this is body acne and strawberry skin. So when I am using this, I'm concentrating it more on my back, since that is the only area where I've really struggled with body acne. And then of course my legs. This, just like glycolic acid, needs to be followed with moisture products because glycolic acid will strip and expose the surface of your skin, but salicylic acid cleanses out your pores, leaving them a bit bare to where they need to kind of be rehydrated if you're wanting to still keep that plump skin and avoid further issues. Because while chemical exfoliants do fix issues in your skin, if they're not followed with attention, they will bring about new or different issues or kind of revert back the issue that you initially had. For example, strawberry legs comes from a buildup of just gunk within your pores. So if you're using this to clean out your pores but not filling the pores back with water, just leaving them open to where they could just build that gunk back in, you kind of didn't really do anything in the use of this. So if I'm using the SA wash in the shower, I'll follow with the hydrating soap. If I'm using the toner or body serum outside of the shower, I'll follow with a hydrating body serum and body butter. Again, I've seen a drastic change in using this. I also did use the spray version in the past as well, but I would say that I do prefer body serums for out of shower use. This one by The Ordinary is great. I definitely feel a great treatment from it, and it's very gentle. I don't feel any irritation, any stinging, or any burning. This as well, just as glycolic acid, is never to be used before or after shaving. You can also work this alongside witch hazel as well. There are sprays and wipes based in salicylic acid that you can use after the gym, but if you're wanting to avoid any irritation or your skin being too exposed while you're prone to environmental damage, you can use witch hazel instead, which is what I do. I can use salicylic acid after my gym showers if I wanted to, but I feel like it leaves too much room for another problem, since I go to the gym in the daytime, and if I were to do that, that would mean that after doing that treatment, I would go about the rest of my day with my skin a little bit exposed, which is not ideal in my mind, so I reach for witch hazel instead. I would say any treatment soaps or any actives or exfoliants are better to be used in the evening when you're gonna follow that with you basically going to bed. Now let's take a break from products themselves and move on to tools. I share shower tools all the time. I love shower tools. I feel like they're vital and necessary for your best hygiene. So let's move on to section 5 and talk about 2 of my absolute favorites, which are exfoliating gloves and shower sponges. Now, while I do have and use various shower tools, there are about 3 that are daily uses for me. One of them being shower rags. I didn't include shower rags in this segment because I feel like shower rags are kind of nothing out of the ordinary, and the reason why I stress the use of shower tools so much is because I feel like it amplifies the benefits or the function of any product. For example, my shower sponges, these are the first tool that I use in the shower, and I like to use these with my first layer cleanse, which is always Dr. Bronner's Baby Unscented. That first layer is to really get everything off of my skin, so the fact that I'm using a strong concentrated soap and then pairing it with a sponge that will not only break down the soap with the water, so my skin is receiving it much better, but this texture is a great surface to really scrub and cleanse my skin without being really harsh. This will help me get a really even lather everywhere while really scrubbing and getting everything off. I feel like I cannot get as good of a clean with any other tool but this, and I also can't break down the soap as well with any other product as I can with this. In regard to maintaining these, I have maybe 6 or 7 or 8 of them, and I rotate them every week. So every Friday I will take out the one that I have in the shower, throw it in the washer with some disinfectant to cleanse it and make sure that everything is off of it, and while that's happening I set a new one in. So once it's washed, now going back into the washer, it'll go back into my pile, and when I reach for it again, I reach for it again. And I constantly cycle all of my sponges out until they wither out to where they're kind of breaking, to where the outer layer has holes in it, or there's tears, or there's no longer any grit to it. Once it gets to that point, I would just trash them. And to disinfect them, I use Audubon in the machine wash. And not only do I machine wash these, but I also machine dry them. And I've never seen any damage brought about to them in doing this. The next tool is exfoliating gloves. I've talked about these so much. There is quite a few different uses that I have for them. Before getting into that though, I will say, if you're using these on your face, please stop. I recently saw a video of someone doing their skincare routine and they used these to scrub their face. That is probably leaving so many horrible micro tears in your skin barrier. If you're doing that or thinking of doing that, please don't do that. I do use these every day. With these, you have to definitely cater them to your skin. So these are not meant for everyday use for everyone, especially if you're new to using them. If you want to start incorporating these into your routine, start off using them maybe 2 or 3 times a week and see if that's your skin's level of tolerance, or if you can take more days. I've personally built up my skin to where I'm using these every single day, not only to keep my skin soft, but also even. And just like chemical exfoliants, these will work to refine your skin, not only to get off any buildup or gunk, but also open your skin up to where your moisture products are more receptive and they will work better in your skin. I use these every day at the end of my shower with a shower gel or oil gel wash. These are also non-negotiable for me before shaving. I've shared quite a bit about shaving and shaving prep, and one thing that I always stress is that exfoliating before shaving is vital, but not with the scrub. You definitely want to exfoliate with something unfragranced. In fact, your entire routine from start to finish when you are shaving should be with unfragranced products. But before the razor touches your skin, you need to prep your skin, and the best way to do that is with exfoliating gloves, and a hydrating liquid body wash. Again, get everything off the skin, make room for the razor, and soften your skin and your hair follicles to where the process is easier and you don't have to tug or bring so much friction to your skin to get the hair off. While I shared so many tips in my personal shaving routine, I would say one of the major factors that gets me such a smooth and even shave every time is using exfoliating gloves before the razor touches my skin. And these are treated the same as my shower sponges. Every week on Friday, I take them out, throw them in the wash with disinfectant, and put a new set in. I definitely have more of these than I do of sponges. I have a lot of exfoliating gloves, but that is because they do wither out. Not quickly, but quicker than the sponges do. So once I get to a point where I can see through them, I just trash them. Because if they're that thin and withered out, they're not gonna be very effective in exfoliating my skin. Now let's get back to our products and move on to section 6, showcasing a new product that I actually haven't mentioned in use before. I shared it when I first grabbed it, but I haven't made any videos using it. Let's talk about Prequel's Gleanser. Prequel is also a brand that I just started really getting into, and I have been loving all of their products. I'm looking forward to really going into everything that they have because all the things that I have used so far have been great and guaranteed a repurchase. For Gleansers, they have a few different options. I believe there's 3 of them. There's the unscented, unfragranced one that's just the glycerin and the rest of the formula. And then they have a salicylic acid one and a glycolic acid one. Once I'm done with the salicylic acid wash that I have now, I'm definitely considering grabbing theirs to try instead. For now, I am using their Gleanser for my face instead of my body since I don't really need this for my body now. I needed a new face wash, which is why I chose this one. I use their glycolic acid formula, and the reason why I was initially interested was because I just needed a face wash, but I wanted one that was more hydrating. I felt like I wasn't really getting enough hydration when I was washing my face, and I saw this one had 50% glycerin, which is a lot of glycerin. So that already intrigued me. I chose the glycolic acid one because I do struggle with post-acne scars or like little marks on my face that I just want to perfect. So in comparing salicylic acid and glycolic acid, I obviously knew this was the right choice. This is gonna really give me what I'm looking for, and so far it has done just that. I saw a change in my skin so quickly. I definitely felt a texture difference pretty quick because of course the high percentage of glycerin, that was a given. What I was really wanting was a change in the tone and the evenness of my skin, and this has done just that. I've been using this for about a month, I would say, and I definitely don't see this leaving my routine for my face, and I see myself buying the salicylic acid version of this for my body because you can use this on your face and body. So this one is gonna stick strictly to my facial care, but I'm really excited to finish the wash I have now so I can try theirs. I use this every evening in my evening shower, and I do it double cleansing since I do wear makeup almost every day. Even the days that I don't wear makeup, I have oily skin, so it's pretty vital for me to double cleanse. I use an oil cleanser. Those I kind of move around from different ones. I haven't really found an oil cleanser that is like a guaranteed need, like I can never use anything else. I think the one that I'm using now is by Arencia. I use that one to get my makeup off and the first layer of everything off of my skin, and then I follow with this one, wash my face, emulsify, and then rinse it off. While I've definitely already found my staple like daytime cleanser, which is the Youth to the People superfood, this is almost fully solidified as my go-to everyday evening cleanser. I don't really solidify that decision until I finish the bottle. I would say this is maybe like a third down, so it has a long way to go, but I feel like once I am done using this entire bottle, it will have been a good amount of time in use where I can make a really just decision. Now in section 7, we're going to talk about sunscreen, which I thought was super important to include in a summer body care staples, since of course these should be used year round, but more specifically in the hottest and brightest months of the year. And for this, I wanted to mention in specific SPFs that are made by the brand Vacation Inc. Now, I have used various sunscreens in the past and throughout the summer at first, but once I started using these, I completely let go of every other sunscreen that I had. I started first by using the Vacation Whip, only because, I'll be honest, the whipped cream intrigued me, and I did like the way that it appeared to leave the skin, so I bought this, tried this. Of course, it was fun to use. I love the way that it left the skin looking. I loved how it felt. But what I loved the most was that my skin didn't react from it whatsoever. I had no irritation, and where it was the most vital to know was on my chest, since of course that is our most sensitive area on my skin. I poured this directly on and put a layer to really test it, and saw no reaction whatsoever. Now, while I do love this one, it is very heavy, and I wanted to have an option, or I didn't want to have such a heavy layer of SPF on. I don't really like lotion or cream sunscreens. They're really uncomfortable to me, and I already don't want to smell entirely like sunscreen. I don't mind the smell of sunscreen, but I don't want it to be so strong. And with spray sunscreens, you're able to mask it pretty easily. Lotion sunscreens, it's almost impossible to mask that scent. So I grabbed their SPF 50 in the spray form to try it, and also served me just as well. Wasn't uncomfortable, very easy to use, and no irritation or inflammation on my skin. While there are other brands that I will use if I have to, these are my immediate first choice. I really wanted to try the sunscreens throughout the summer and different brands, but I just couldn't let go of the vacation ones. Those are definitely my favorite. And if you are new here or don't know, I am currently in the process of removing all of my tattoos. So in doing that, I have to keep them very protected from the sun. So while SPF is already a non-negotiable, it's a very crucial, critical non-negotiable for me now. So I'm glad that I was able to find one that is so safe and well for my skin. Now, while talking about products that are serving me well in my personal life as well, let's move on to section 8 and talk about Frenshe's body serum stick. Now, I have this in the Lavender Cloud scent, and I feel like that's what really amplifies and adds so much to how well the product works. But for starters, I didn't know this product existed. I actually got this in like a big PR box with everything else in the Lavender Cloud line. And I was a little bit intrigued because I hadn't heard of it before, and I hadn't heard of a product that was similar. And usually I don't really trust or favor products like this because I feel like they're like just in your head. They're not actually really doing anything. You just think they are. So it kind of makes your nerves work to where it feels like they're functioning. So in that reason, I kind of just saw it and I was like, oh, like it would be great if that actually worked, and like didn't really think anything of it. So a few days after that, I was having like a very off day, and I kind of like stopped my work for the day. I was like, I just need to take a shower and really just like relax for the rest of my evening. And once I got out of the shower and did my routine, I got a little bit of curiosity, and I was like, if this is gonna work, today would be a great day for it to do so. So I used it for the first time and almost instantly felt the change in my skin. It's based in magnesium, so your skin per se isn't what feels different. It's really tension. Personally, I will use this on the areas, of course, my body that feel really tense. So right back here behind the neck, like where that muscle is right here, I'll use it on my legs, behind my knees. I feel like while I am focusing it on areas of tension and my muscles, I also like to put it on my pulse points because I feel like those areas are kind of like control centers for your body. So I'll put it behind my ears, my inner elbow, behind my knees. I'll put it on my ankles. I'll put it down the center of my back. And this makes such a difference on days where I really need to like tone down, like I'm feeling really tense or really tight. I had a stressful day, I had a very tiring day. I will put this on after my full routine is done, and I reapply it over and over again. Like I will put it on after the shower, put it on again an hour later, put it on, and I'll just keep putting it on to feel that cooling and that like calming. I know it's based in magnesium and a few other essential oils, but I can guarantee magnesium is what's doing all the work. And then because I have the Lavender Cloud scent, it's also like aromatherapy. Lavender is very calming, very soothing. So this has literally been my best friend. All of the, I think it was last week, my cycle was last week, and I used this every single evening last week. And I also thought it would get to a point where like I was using it so much it wasn't really being effective, but no, every time I feel just an ounce of tension in my body, or I need the smallest amount of relaxation, I instantly think of this. And if I think of it early in the day, like, okay, this evening when I finish my routine, I'm gonna put this on, I will look forward to putting this on until I'm able to get around to actually using it. Now, enough of that, let's get back to products that are actually meant for helping the skin and your hygiene itself, with section 9 covering body butter. Now, if you know me, you know that I hold body butter near and dear to my heart. I'm a body butter girl. It is my absolute favorite form of moisture for the skin, and I use it almost every single day, if not every single day. In the start of me making this type of content, I was really focused a lot on body butter. I was really into the Bath & Body Works ones at one point, and I do still love those, but those are definitely more so for fragrance. They're not really ideal for any aid in the skin in specific. The only one I would kind of sort of put in that like fracture would be the hyaluronic acid one. Now again, I am using these daily, and I have fragrance and unfragrance options. Of course, the unfragrance option, which is the one that I use the most frequently, is by the same brand that I mentioned earlier. So if you're aware, you're aware. If not, I will be back soon with plenty more unfragranced options. But I do use these every evening, and I always say body butters are ideal at nighttime because they're gonna give you the most longevity and the ideal moisture retention to wake up the next day with your skin still being hydrated and moisturized. Body lotions are not going to serve you well overnight at all. Those are more so for daytime use. Now, a newer one that I just started using is the Your Body Firming Butter by the brand On It Too. I know this is a newer brand. I got a package with all of their products and then saw it at Target a little bit after, and I really liked this body butter. What I would say I like from their line a lot is their dry body oil. I hadn't used one of those before, and definitely saw a difference in how it feels in your skin versus a regular body oil, but they definitely captured a soft vanilla scent very well. This, I like to use it on days where I'm able to use fragrance. I'm not doing any treatments, so I'm not using any glycolic acid or any salicylic acid to where I need to follow it with something unfragranced. These are also all things I'm able to use only on those days, but I will reach for this one on a day where I'm able to use fragrance, but I want like a really light, gentle scent on my skin. On days where my biggest priority is fragrance, I'll use Palmer's body butters. I have both the Tahitian Vanilla, which seems to be everyone's favorite scent by Palmer's, and then Brazilian Cocoa, which I would argue is just as good, if not better. This one's also a firming body butter. This is also gonna work pretty well in tightening your skin and making it look a bit more plump. I honestly think this is a better scent than Tahitian Vanilla, and that's coming from a vanilla girl. These are the ones that I reach for on days where I'm wanting fragrance to be like the main part of my routine. These are also really good for layering. They're a really good base to layer other fragrances on top of. And then of course we have Frenshe. I'm very distraught that they don't make my favorite scent in their body butter, which, if I dare say, is the only scent I genuinely love, which is Solar Fleur. Their other scents are okay, but nothing mind-blowing for me personally. If they made the body butter in Solar Fleur, I would definitely be a frequent buyer. But they did send me a few of their other fragrances, and on days where I'm using that body serum stick that I mentioned earlier and I'm wanting like as much aromatherapy as possible, I will use the Lavender Cloud body butter. This is the Moon Milk. This smells like a cinnamon latte. And while I would say this isn't my choice for fragrance or for moisture, this is also based in that same magnesium as the serum stick. So this is very soothing on the skin and it is very relaxing. Now for my favorite body butter for moisture, which honestly, this really shocked me with how long lasting the moisture is, Saltaire. Now from Saltaire, the only fragrance that I like is Saltwater Vanilla. I tried Golden Hour and Santal, the other ones everyone talks about all the time, but Saltwater Vanilla is the only one that I genuinely love. I do have everything in this fragrance because they also did a really good job at formulating this scent, but the longevity of a moisture that this brings to your skin is out of this world. This honestly is much more moisturizing than the other body butter that I will not mention is. So the only downfall of it is that it is fragrance. If they made this same exact formula unfragranced, I would not need any other unfragranced body butter at all. This is a perfect formula. I just need it to be unfragranced. But again, if you don't believe me, this is more moisturizing and hydrating and long lasting than the other one. So those few days a week that I am able to use fragrance, this is always my first choice. I will choose one of the others if I'm really feeling them, but this is almost always what I'm using on those 2 or 3 days that I'm able to use fragrance. Now let's move on to section 10 and talk about hypochlorous acid sprays. Now if you don't know what hypochlorous acid is, it's basically like, how I would say it, sanitizer for the skin. Whether it's for your face or using it for a really quick refresh on your body, which you could use witch hazel to do so, but salicylic acid is gonna do much better at being like an antibacterial sanitizer than witch hazel would be for the body. Now I will use hypochlorous acid after the gym on times where I'm really needing to, but I more so do use it for the face. And with that, I'm doing so daily. So the first time that I use hypochlorous acid is every single morning after doing my gua sha and jade roll. Before doing my skincare, I don't wash my face in the morning at all. It's not ideal for any skin type, especially oily skin. So instead of washing before my skincare, I will use hypochlorous acid spray. My favorite for that is the Honeydew Labs hypochlorous acid spray. I use this one every single day. I love how big the bottle is, so it's gonna last me quite some time. I've used that one that's on Amazon. I don't remember the name of it, but I have used that one. I've actually been through 2 bottles of it, but this one is just, it's different. Like it does that job of sanitizing, but it doesn't dry out my skin at all. This is a really good formula for like that quick refresh. Now while I'm out and about and I'm wanting to refresh my skin, whether I'm wearing makeup or not wearing makeup, I will use the Tower 28. I have the really tiny bottle. I think I got this as a gift from Sephora or Ulta, like a birthday gift, and I've heard of it, so I've been using it and I do really like the formula. I may buy the larger bottle once I'm out of this one, but because this is on the go, I only ever use this when I'm out and about. It lasts a pretty long time. Now in the past, I did use this again in the evening after my nighttime shower, but I have switched to a different facial spray for that, which I will share in a later section. Moving on to body hypochlorous acid, I use the Prequel Universal Skin Solutions, and this also I only really use on my body when I really need to. So after the gym, if I'm out and about and I'm really sweaty, my skin is exposed, I will use it. This also does a great job like the Honeydew Labs one, where it really does that sanitizing but doesn't leave my skin feeling really dry, itchy, or stripped. It just settles, cleanses, and then I kind of forget that it's there. And while I definitely think you can use these on either one, like I use this on my body but I can use it on my face, I use it on my face but I can use it on my body. I just like having dedicated ones to certain areas so that the skin can kind of stay tame and not be thrown off with an unusual product or formula, especially with how consistently I am using these. Now on the same topic, I do love facial mists so much. They're one of my absolute favorite skincare products. So let's move on to section 11 and talk about facial mist. Now regarding facial sprays and mists, I'm also really consistent with the use of these. So while I do have quite a few, I use the same ones over and over every day. Like for example, in the past, I love the Anua hyaluronic acid spray. I actually love the entire line and I still use that moisturizer every evening. But when I did run out of the bottle, I started using VT's PDRN Glow Ampule, and I love this. Is one of my top 3 facial sprays ever. And while I do have another bottle of the Anua, I love this one so much. I'm gonna finish this one before I go back to the Anua spray. But this PDRN Ampule, honestly, VT's entire PDRN line was so good. I also use those products every day and love this spray so much. I use this one a few times a day, so I will use this spray before applying any serum on my skin. So in the morning when I'm applying my Torrid Dive-In Serum, I use this first. I kind of use this in place of applying water before a serum. I do the same in the evening before applying any serums. I will put this on first as like my water to make my skin more receptive. As I mentioned in the previous section, I use that hypochlorous acid spray in the daytime, and in the past I would use that one as well again in the evening after my shower to kind of be a bridge on my skin between doing my body care. So I'll get out of the shower, do my body care first, and then my skincare. I also do wash my face in the shower, so when I step out, that time I'm doing my body care, my skin is a little bit bare and stripped. So Instead, I've started using Cocoa Kind's Calming Magnesium Mist, and this has also made such a difference in the redness in my skin. I definitely dealt with that as an issue a lot in the past, my skin always being like red and kind of inflamed. Consistent use of this every evening after my shower has made such a difference. I think also because I'm using it after the Prequel cleanser, which contains glycolic acid. My skin kind of needs something to bring it down from any possible inflammation that could come out of using that. So this is also a guaranteed repurchase over and over. I love using the spray. I'll also even use it in moments where I feel like my skin just needs to be calm. If it's much later into the evening and I'm gonna go to bed, but my skin kind of does look a little inflamed, I'll spray it on. If it's the middle of the day and my skin looks like it needs something to calm it down, I'll spray this on. I love this facial mist. I also have Prequel's Multi-Quench Hydration Mist. This I like to use sporadically in place of this. So there's ever a moment where I'm wanting to use this, but I need like an extra layer of hydration because this is very hydrating, but it's like a dry mist. It's not as liquidy as this one is and not as hydrating as this one is. So if there is any time where I'm going in with my facial spray but want a little bit more, I'll use this hydrating mist instead. When I'm out and about wearing makeup, I also do like spraying a facial mist if I ever feel like my makeup is getting dry or cakey and I want to avoid it looking like that or looking oily. This has lately been what I've been using, but I think I'm going to start taking this one with me and setting this as the spray that I use for that occasion. Now, while discussing hydrating and keeping the face moisturized, let's also go back to the body and go into section 12, which covers body serums, toners, and essences. Now, regarding body serums and essences, one of my absolute favorites I have definitely shared before, but I haven't shared in some time, which is Cyclar's Milky Essence. I loved that product from the moment I started using it, and when I did run out of it, I just had so many other essences I wanted to get through, and I'm not one to buy stuff when I already have other things to use. So I've been wanting to finish some other products before buying that one again, but I will be reinviting that essence soon because I do love Cyclar's Milky Essence. In the meantime, what has been replacing it is Prequel's Half and Half with peptides and ceramides. This is amazing. You know, when I first started using this, I was a little biased on disliking it because I don't like the design of the bottle. I hate the shake thing. I wish I could just squeeze it like the Cyclar and get a more product out a little bit easier, but with how well it works, I'm able to adjust. This is so good for rebuilding the skin. I do use this daily on days where I'm not using exfoliants, because on days I'm using exfoliants, I use another one, which I will share soon. But where I find this to be the most beneficial is after shaving. This is always the first thing that I put onto my skin, apart from any aloe or witch hazel to soothe any inflammation. I put this onto my skin first thing after shaving, and not only is it very hydrating and moisturizing, but the formula and the ingredients that this contains is so good for building your skin back up and keeping it really plump and strong to where my moisture barrier is very resilient to any sort of damage. After chemical exfoliants, this will also serve really well at building the skin back up after taking off those layers. And while I would love that, I instead like to use the Abiame Summer Skin Lotion and Body Serum after chemical exfoliants. This is great because it's just as hydrating and well for building up the skin, but it's a little bit thicker, which I think is very vital when your skin is that fragile and vulnerable. While this has a great formula, this is very thick, so I feel like the layer that this leaves on my skin is a bit more beneficial. But of course, I can use these hand in hand with each other, kind of swap them out, and they'll still kind of work very well for my skin. And these all go before primary moisturizers, meaning any lotions or body butters. Another great option is a body toner. I love Knock body toners. You've probably seen this one quite a bit on social media. This is the Caramel body toner, and it does honestly smell amazing. But again, you all know I don't use fragrance very often, but on days where I am able to use fragrance, I will reach for this instead of one of my Milky Essences just to get the scent. And I do also have one that's under fragrance, which I can use as well. I haven't been using it really, but I will soon in the winter time. I feel like it'll be more beneficial for me then as well as in the fall. Body toners are a little bit different than serums and essences. Serums and essences are more for building the skin, strengthening the skin. Body toners are a little bit more for prepping the skin for hydration and kind of like being a bridge in the skin. They're not delivering much on their own. They're kind of being like an amplifier serums and essences are delivering a little bit to the skin, which is why I don't use toners as frequently as body essences and serums, but I do still use them at times, and whenever I am wanting to use one, it's going to be the NOC toners. Lastly, I have Saltaires, and I'm adding this in because this is great at hydrating the skin if you're really wanting plump skin, especially after using like a salicylic acid where you're needing to like flood the pores in the skin with moisture. This is a great choice. My only thing with this and why I don't use it very often is because personally this is really sticky, like the uncomfortable, tight, tacky sticky. So it is a great product. I will use it when I have to, but I don't use it very often just for that reason. Now, talking about products that are great for building the skin, I also like to highlight protecting the skin and sealing the skin. So let's go on to section 13 and talk about aquaphor. Now this section will be fairly quick because aquaphor is very simple and straightforward. There's not too much to really go into, but I always include aquaphor in these videos because I feel like this is a non-negotiable for anyone with any skin type, any skin issue. While it has areas where it will benefit specifically in the skin, this also is great to use just in general on the skin. If you're wanting smoother or clearer knees or elbows, body balms are gonna serve you great, but aquaphor is gonna last a little bit longer. Where I like to use this the most is my feet. This is a non-negotiable every evening on my heels and the sides of my feet to keep the skin not only feeling smooth, but also looking smooth and clear, because this allows for any moisturizer that I add onto my feet to last so much longer. The skin on your feet is a bit thicker, harsher. Naturally, it's just hard, and it will not hold on to moisture well on its own at all. Not only do you need to add helping hands and ingredients that are going to be stronger and more concentrated products for that hydration, you also need to use something to really keep it there, because with that skin again being so resilient against holding on to moisture, those products will kind of evaporate and come off pretty easily. So aquaphor is a great sealant to really keep it in place and keep the skin covered. Aquaphor can also serve really great on areas that are healing, areas that have any open wounds or scarring. I also even use it the week after my treatment. So as I mentioned earlier, I am going through the process of tattoo removal on all of my skin, and that treatment does leave your skin very open and vulnerable for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So that first week and a half, I'm really serious on leaving a thick layer of aquaphor in the area to not only keep the skin protected and covered, but also a little bit hydrated to where it's not drying out while it's so exposed. Even in reverse, when I was getting these tattoos, I was covering them in aquaphor while they were healing. So it's a very universal product that can be used for a number of things, and honestly I think it's non-negotiable for everyone to own aquaphor. Now, as I was mentioning foot care a little bit ago, we're gonna go into that section next and go on to section 14 and talk about a product that I kind of focus the most on my feet, which is a urea-based body moisturizer. Now, urea itself is already an incredible product for the skin, and as I mentioned, especially in those areas that are thicker and harsher and don't hold on to moisture that well on their own, to where you're needing to add a very extremely hydrating product and extremely moisturizing product, urea is going to be key. Where my skin needs this the most, to where I really concentrate on using it, is my feet. In the past, I again did use that brand, so I switched out of one curiosity and just knowing that in time I was gonna need to find a replacement. And doing that, the one that I reached for was Prequel. Now their formula actually contains a way higher amount of urea than I was using before, as well as niacinamide and shea butter, which are all going to do different things for my skin, but work together in improving my skin. And dare I say, this one is 10 times better than the one I was using before, and a much silkier lather. The last one definitely felt more like a tacky serum. This one just feels like a blanket of hydration. This feels like a milk almost onto the skin, but still thick and nourishing. I would honestly say it's also great to use all over the body. Granted, I have other things I prefer to use on my skin, but I wouldn't really hesitate the use of using this on my body in its entirety. This is great, and I can definitely see this serving really well for someone with dry or rough skin, or uneven or even dull skin. Using this under your moisturizer would serve really well. Urea also does a little bit of a gentle exfoliation on the skin, so it's also going to get rid of any buildup, any gunk, any bacteria, just anything getting in the way of the skin looking its best or absorbing products to become better, stronger, and just more hydrated. Now let's go on to our last section and talk about what I would claim to be one of the more innovative products that I have found this summer. In section 15, covering spray moisturizers. Now I found these one day in the store just randomly shopping, and at first I thought they were SPF because of the format of the bottle, and in reading I realized these are spray moisturizers. So the first one is Vaseline spray moisturizer. The amount of time this has saved me on days where I'm too lazy to put on lotion but cannot walk out or do anything without having lotion on. Number one, it's so easy. You just spray it on the skin, and it's such a thin, lightweight layer. You can really just slide over it after spraying and the job is done. It's practically already absorbed into the skin. Of course, I wouldn't reach for this at nighttime because it's not going to give you any longevity and moisture at all. But in the daytime, if you're needing just to do a quick moisture layer, you're not wanting to put on lotion because either you don't feel like it or you don't want to feel that heavy layer on you while outdoors because it's very, very hot outside. This is the best ever. I honestly have definitely had lazy evenings where I'm not really going to do my whole routine. I will use this, I will admit that. Now I also do have aquaphors. I would say though, this is not ideal for all over body use. I did try that once and sprayed it everywhere, and it definitely piled a little bit, and the residue it left was just horrible. But I would use this to spot treat areas. So for one, if you're wanting to spot like your elbows, like again, areas that need that extra layer of moisture. Like in the evening, I put on my body balms on those areas every night. But in the daytime, I'm not gonna put those body balms on, so I could just spray this on my knees and elbows to be that extra layer. And it's aquaphor, so this one is a little bit thicker. Also, personally, as I mentioned, for my tattoos that I'm getting removed, if I don't wanna reapply aquaphor while I'm out, I could just spray this over. You can also do this to freshly treated tattoos. You can do this to areas where you have wounds, where you want to kind of cover, keep protected, any open skin. This is definitely more intended for like those spot or like very intended concentrated areas, not for all over body use. But these are both very innovative and very useful products, and I would say they're non-negotiables in the summer, especially again if you're wanting to avoid feeling heavy or sticky. That is all for this section and all the sections within this video. And that is everything for this video. I definitely loved sharing all those with you. Again, some of those points or products may have been repetitive because these are all products that I've shared multiple times throughout the past few weeks / months. But in all honesty, would this really be a faves video and staples if I wasn't proving in previous weeks that these were staples and things that I'm using time and time again? I don't think so. And if you do want me to elaborate further on any of these or share anything else, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Or if any of these are your staples, if you've been using them for a long time, if you're curious about them and want to try them, or if you just started using them this summer as well and how they've been treating you. As well as if you have any other alternatives or any other products you feel like definitely deserve a spot in this video, definitely let me know of that as well. As I mentioned earlier, these are definitely all products that if I were to lose all of my products today, I would repurchase these first. And this is also the list of products that will be on the top of my mind going into the summer of next year and every year after, until either they're replaced with better versions or just improved. But that is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy and gain something from this video, definitely go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, also go ahead and subscribe. Again, this is episode 12 of Hot Girl Hygiene, meaning there are 4 episodes left, and I am posting a new video every Thursday at 6 p.m. If you haven't watched previous episodes, I would definitely recommend doing so. I also have shared the lineup for the remaining videos, so definitely save this if you're wanting to know the videos that I'll be posting next and on the days that they'll be going live. I also do post a weekly vlog on this channel every Sunday. I haven't posted in the past few weeks because I've had a few different issues with cameras and changing some of my production, but we will be back very linear on that schedule soon. Not only do I post weekly vlogs on Sunday, but I also do post curated vlogs on Friday, so definitely stay tuned for those. And while you are waiting for videos on YouTube, I do post daily on all of my short form platforms, and I am at Jamilazonia on every platform. I also do have my direct messaging open on every app, as well as comments. I get back to all comments and messages. Some take me a bit more time than others, but I will get back to everyone. And I do have a bulletin board open on TikTok TikTok as well as a private group chat, so definitely go ahead and join those if you are interested on being a little bit closer knit in the community. But again, that is it for today's video. If you have made it this far, again, thank you so much for watching. I definitely hope to see you in the next one, and stay tuned for Hot Girl Hygiene episode 13. Bye!